This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by eMedia on Charter Channel 193 and live streaming on their webpage, easthamptonmedia.org. Councilors and the participants in this meeting are gathered hybrid on the order extended until June 30th, 2027, allowing us to do so. I remind both the members of the City Council and the public participating remotely to remain muted until recognized by the City Council President. Also, for the members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in the public speak time or the public hearing. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Mary Ann.
J.P. Kwasinski.
Here.
Connie Denham.
Here.
Tamara Smith.
Here.
Felicia Jadzak.
Here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Jonathan Schmidt.
Here.
Amanda Newton.
Here.
Kayam Jamrog McQuaid.
Here.
Nathan Markey.
Here.
Great. Thank you. We're going to have a moment of silence, but before we do that, I just want to acknowledge the tragedies that happened today in Minneapolis. It was a tragic loss of life today. So I hope everyone is taking this opportunity of moment of silence to think about your families, your loved ones. And so please use this time to think about what you need to think about in order to be present this evening. Thank you. Thank you. If you would like to participate in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, now is your opportunity to do so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm here to work for you.
Great. Thank you so much. We have some minutes that we need to approve for December 17th, 2025. I will take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
Any abstentions?
Abstain. I guess I'll also abstain.
Yep, so we have 2 abstentions. All right. Great. We have the honor this evening of swearing in our new firefighter, Ryan Chenevert, and I'd like to invite Mayor Derby up to do the honors of that, as well as Chief Norris.
Thank you. And as the mayor and our new firefighter are making their way up, I again want to welcome and congratulate the entire new city council here with us going into 2026. So congratulations again to all of you. As you all start off in your new roles for the city as city leadership, I just wanted to kind of give you the backdrop as to this process. Over the last 6 years, we've brought forward all of our new employees to come before this body for the city leadership to allow you to put a face to the name to your public servants serving the community of Easthampton. We've really tried to engage the city leadership, not only in the swearing-in process, but also in the hiring process. We've reached out through the Public Safety Committee and the chair of that committee over the last 5+ years to be part of the interview process for these new employees. So really from start to finish here today, swearing in Ryan Chenevert, this group has the ability to see these new public safety officials coming in that serve you and your communities. So we appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. So with that, I'll step aside and let Mayor Derby swear in our new firefighter, Ryan Chenevert. And step it up.
Thank you, Chief Norris.
Raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Ryan Chenevert, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon me
one more time.
discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon me
Discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon me
as a firefighter for the city of Easthampton,
as a firefighter for the city of Easthampton,
according to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
according to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution of the United States of America,
of the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the city of Easthampton.
and the city of Easthampton.
Congratulations.
And again, thank you all for that opportunity. Greatly appreciated.
Great, appreciate you. The next thing we'd like to do is we'd like to recognize former city councilor, now our state rep, Omar Gomez. Mayor Derby, if you'd like to join me. So Representative Gomez, you served on city council from 2018 to 2024, and from 2022 to 2024, you served as our city council president. So it was certainly a great honor that we had the opportunity to work with you, and certainly your vice president here, and now mayor, right? So we'd just like to present that to you with just gratitude and appreciation for all that you've done for the city of Easthampton.
So much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, please.
Continues to do.
Yes, and continues to do, right?
I'm going to be brief. Yeah, right. First, thank you. For me, it was an honor to be serving as a city council for 4 terms. But forget about me, forget about this for a second. I just want to congratulate the council as a whole. And for the first time ever in Easthampton, we have 2 women in the highest positions at the city council. Congratulations, Madam President. Congratulations, Madam Vice President. This is a great sample of what we need in our nation, in our Commonwealth, and thank you. Thank you for everything you guys been doing. Someone asked me today about my job in Boston, and I said that in Boston was, believe it or not, easier to take a vote than here. Really, I'm not joking. Here, exactly at the second I took a vote here, my neighbors, the people who live in Easthampton, congratulate me or fight against me right away. In Boston, is a different way. We have 160 members there, so it's a little different. But again, my credits to you guys. I think you guys do the right thing, choosing 2 women to be leaders in our city. And I cannot imagine the first picture of this group of people having 5, not 2, not 3, 5 women in the center of that table, because I'm including the clerk. So I'm so happy to see that many women in this group and the diverse in this group too. Thank you, and thank you for the plaque.
Appreciate you. Now we're going to have public comment. So if you have anything that you would like to speak about to the city council that is not on our agenda, now is your opportunity to get up and speak. You will have 3 minutes. At the 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we will kind of give you a signal that you have 30 seconds left. So please kind of wrap up your thoughts once the time is concluded. I do want to make note that because this is not, what you're speaking about is not on our agenda, counselors do not have the opportunity to respond to the comments. So I just want you to keep in mind that if there's questions that you have and things like that, we're just not able to respond. But we will make note of that, and we will outreach to you for further information. We will start with the folks in the room, and then we will move to folks online. So if there's anyone in the room who would like to speak, and it looks like Counselor Kwasinski.
Putting on my hat as private citizen, James Kwasinski, 47 Hannambrook Drive. I just couldn't help but to say to everyone in Easthampton, take note what happened in Minneapolis. Take note. Watch the videos. Watch the comments of those in Washington who are defending the actions of what seems to me to be a clear murder. A shot through the side of a window, killing a civilian, is not self-defense. A shot to defend oneself would have gone right through the windshield if a car's coming at the person. I heard a Secretary of Homeland Security describe the action as self-defense. As someone in Minneapolis said today, I try not to use those words. That's BS. That's a cover-up. And for those words to be spoken immediately after what was done, without a formal investigation, is more BS. ICE, get out of Minneapolis. On one other note, I think every veteran in this country ought to take note of what's happening to the senator from Arizona, that they be asked to cut their rank or forced to cut their rank and their retirement because they stood up for the Constitution and said, obey only legal laws, legal orders.
That's two.
That too is BS. Should never happen to anyone who's defending the Constitution as they swore to do. We saw swearing in today. We saw swearing in earlier this week. We agree to defend the Constitution. Defend it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Great. Please state your name and address for the record.
Carl Prawl, 22 Gaston. Firstly, I have to say thank you very much, Councilor Denham, Councilor Kwasinski, for bringing this up front and foremost. I think it's on the front of all of our minds, or should be. I had planned to come down here and talk about public safety and how dangerous it is to walk down on Cottage Street. A friend of mine was hit in a crosswalk a month ago, and just walking down tonight, I had to jump out before somebody hit me in the illuminated crosswalk. It's a problem. But ICE murdered Renee Good today in Minneapolis. According to Christy Gnomes, the ICE agent was acting in self-defense, basically by shooting a domestic terrorist. That's what the Department of Homeland Security would have us believe. According to my lying eyes and several different angles of video, it sure looked like a masked thug murdering a fleeing woman. And it's not the first time. Renee Good joins, I don't even know how many bodies in Los Angeles and Chicago at this point, and we are so quick to gloss over the death toll in other countries as we partake in law enforcement activities. I wish I had a more eloquent speech to give you to motivate our council, our city, our governor, our community to act up and stand up. And all I really have is history to fall back on. In 1851, Syracuse, New York was faced with a similar situation where the law said that certain human beings were chattel And if they escaped, U.S. Marshals and bounty hunters could capture them and return them as property. In 1951, Syracuse, New York said, no, we, the people, are not going to allow thugs to come into our community. And when the U.S. Marshals arrived, they were met with a crowd of angry Yankees armed and said, no. In response, William Henry was his name, and he was freed. He was saved. And I strongly suggest everyone look into the Jerry Rescue and other towns in the 1850s in our country who stood up to what was clearly unethical laws, clearly immoral laws, and had the audacity and the gumption to change them. I wish you all well in these very trying times, and know that we need to insulate ourselves, to exercise sovereignty here in Easthampton, to make sure we can keep the lights on and the trash going, that we actually have doctors here in town when Trump decides to cut funding because we won't toe the line on whatever his Gestapo wants to do next. We need to act proactively, but we also need to act with love and make sure we carry everyone with us. We cannot leave anyone behind in these times. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Steve Delacroix. I live in Easthampton. I've been in here for 26 years. I live over on Caldorf Street, over at the Rail Trail apartment complex. Been there for 26 years. I'd like to bring the topic a little bit more to home here. Rent increases, different landlords jacking things through the roof. We've had several different complexes have had issues recently where different complexes formed groups and are trying to organize to get landlords to mediate some of these increases. Panacea owned the place when I was there. First 3 years, no rent increase. And, you know, times were different back then too, less expenses. A $25 increase, $50 increase, $75 increase, lease after lease after lease after lease. That's a landlord. Somebody who's looking into the future, okay, of providing housing, okay, for people who want to rent. Giving somebody a lease for a year and then wiping it out and going month to month is not a landlord who's interested in building a community, okay, and having people stay here. They're interested in being able to increase their rents for whatever reason they want. If they have a water leak and they don't know about it because they're not maintaining their building correctly, and then they increase everybody $50 a month because the water went up or the usage is up, that's over $700 that I've paid so far now for their water leak that they didn't know about. Anyway, my rent just went up to $1,600 for a 2-bedroom apartment. It was at $1,275. It was increased, okay, $150 already this year. Now I just got hit with a $325 increase. The paperwork says we don't want to do this, but we have to. The paperwork says we want to maintain safety when none of the lights work outside, okay? They talk about the increased maintenance. The equity in your building has gone up. It's doubled increased maintenance. They haven't done really much maintenance on the outside of the building. The bottom line is that it states that because there's a pending law, okay, that might go through in November of 2026, okay, and then will be finalized in January of 2027, we have to retroactively increase everybody's rents the year before so we don't get hit with that rent freeze. To me, how could that be legal? How can you do that? How can you say, I'm an investor, I'm self-employed, I'm a landlord, and this is my business, and I see down the road where there could be a potential for me to make profit. So because of that, I'm gonna supersede a law, okay, that may or may not pass, and go ahead and charge you those rates now. It's ridiculous. I mean, and then when I specifically asked, I was told, okay, well, it's because of this law, and this is why we need to do this. Because if we change these rents, so as of the 1st, everybody's rents went up. If you pay the increase, you agree. If you don't pay the increase, possibly you'll end up getting evicted, okay? But I should, at 67 years old, okay, should pay $3,600, okay, a year more, okay, for this to help insure somebody else's business venture? Is he asking me to go ahead and buy into his business? Am I getting a rate of return? What's my rate of return? What am I getting? Am I part of your LLC now? Can I borrow against your equity? Those things sound ridiculous. How could you put those together? No more ridiculous than going ahead and saying there may or may not be a rent increase, but because there may be, we need to do this to protect ourselves. You're looking into the future. There's a comet floating around out there. Can we all turn around and say we want to do anything from A to Z to protect ourselves from the comet? It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I'm a bit nervous here, especially because you're recording it. Because if my landlord sees this, I'll end up, okay, so you're the wise guy. But we did form a group, and we do meet on Thursdays, and there are other apartment complexes and other groups and whatnot. But you guys, look, you're here in Easthampton. Mm-hmm. I've seen it change so much, some good, some bad. Okay, but this is through the roof. It's ridiculous. Nobody can afford to live. One of the reasons I'm here isn't just for me. I have a neighbor who's 90 years old and his wife has terminal cancer. She has about 4 months left to live. She's going, okay? $300 rent increase. And I said, how could you do that? How could you do that? It has nothing to do with what anybody's finances are, whether they can afford it or can't afford it, whatever their health is, whatever they're seniors or not. It has to do with a pending possible law that might pass. So we need to butter up our bottom line, okay? Good. I talked about putting in an escrow accounts.
So if you could just wrap up your thought.
Yes, I talked about putting in escrow accounts. Can we hold the money aside? Can we do this? Can we do that? What if the law doesn't pass? Are you going to give us the money back? Dead silence. Well, we'll talk about that then. What are you going to do? You're going to give us 10%? Perhaps you'll say, well, we had increases. Would you put it in writing? Dead silence. So this is ridiculous. I mean, somebody needs to get to the bottom of this. And quite honestly, on this law, if they have certain lines where they're stipulating certain things, what's going to go on that law, okay, if I have to take every last penny I own, is a line that states, if you deliberately went ahead and increased your rents, verbally and in writing, to supersede the law, you don't qualify for that.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you for everybody for being here. And hopefully something positive will come out of the rental situation, the scenario here in Easthampton and in the entire community.
Yeah, appreciate that. Just for the record, right? So public or opportunity for public comment is 3 minutes. We don't have very many people here tonight, which is why I gave some additional extra time there. And I also recognize that this is a really difficult topic for a lot of people that's being impacted. So I just want you to know I'm
It's one thing to have increased expenses.
Yep.
It's another thing to go ahead and do what's going on here. It's just not.
Yep, absolutely. So just want to acknowledge that. Anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Anyone online who would like to speak? I see Lindsay Sakula. Go ahead. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Lindsay Sakula, Precinct 3. I come in peace tonight. And I just want to say congratulations to everyone on City Council. I know each and every one of you and have deep respect for each and every one of you up there. I'm so proud of you all for running and securing your seats on council. And I look forward to all the work you have ahead of you and that you are going to do. And a special congratulations to President Denham and Vice President Jadzik. This is truly amazing to see you both in leadership roles, and I'm just so very proud of you all. So just sending my congratulations tonight, and always a phone call away for all of you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else online who would like to speak? Please raise your hand, your virtual hand. All right, seeing none. Great, so we have some items for immediate attention. The first thing we'd like to do is take about 5 to 7 minutes to give the reorganization of our city council committees the opportunity to decide and to connect, to decide and select chair and clerk for their committees. So if we could just take that time, so we could just break up in our committees to make that decision. And then when you're done, if the chair can just write who that is on this sheet of paper, which I will have back here. So if we could just take a few minutes to do that, that'd be great.
3 of us are right here.
I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna pause this.
Which committee are we talking?
Property.
Property, okay.
Councilor Kwasinski, would you be open to chairing?
Oh, you were just saying.
Property again?
I would.
Well, I think I was doing that and finance listening because you were handling all the vice president and then acting president duties, but I'm not particularly interested in chairing 2 committees. I'm going to see the final conference. Would you be interested? That works?
If that works for everybody, I'm happy to do it. It's not a requirement.
I would make a motion to nominate J.P. Kwasinski as the second. Okay. Aye.
All those in favor?
Cool. I'd be open to clerking, or I don't know if you'd be interested in doing that, or.
That's mainly just taking the minutes, and yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I would nominate Councilor Jamon McQuaid as clerk.
You know what you're getting into?
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad. But we can be sticklers to get the information.
I have good attention to detail.
Yeah. So what I would ask is that you get material to me as soon as possible after the meetings, and then we have a chance to have that review with the committee before our next meeting. Well, so if you could get that to me, I would appreciate that.
Sounds good.
That being said, you ready to make a motion? I'll make a second. You're it. All right.
Okay, easy enough.
Ordinance?
Hello. I just don't know. I like to do it, my handwritten type of person. So I'll just do it by hand. If I screw up something, can yell at me. If you guys like what I write on my minutes, if you want to like make sure I'm making this, I'll be done first. A lot of issues.
No pressure.
We might be kind of quick, and we kind of deliberate here.
This is how I feel.
Anyone can have, I just brought it for the meeting, if anyone wants to. What's left from the, I usually don't have anything, or what's left from the swearing in, so help yourself.
This particular.
How do you feel about other council order? That's a strength that I feel like I'd be bringing. I have experience running the things for governing bodies.
We aren't on any committees, so you can go. That's true.
You can't just don't talk about.
Yeah, but at least we don't have a quorum just between the 2 of us. That's the important thing.
Meeting. So let me tell you what I am kind of most interested in for the committee, and I say this as whatever my role is. So one of my kind of talking points during the campaign was this idea of hazard preparedness, and so I was very interested to see this thing come out today, and not originally super like immediately apparent to me the connection between that and public safety. But Connie and I spoke. It became clear, and so one of the things that I feel like is important coming out of that is I would love to see the committee kind of look at, regardless of leadership, is this piece of public education and bringing public preparedness to it. And I feel like that's something that we could partner with your level with your experience in education. And I want to talk about Cottage Street down here. It's a problem, and I know that so here's a little tech. I'll move to nominate Amanda as chair. I second. Clerk? Yeah, okay, clerk. Okay. Abstain. Okay, they're all in favor. So write it on the paper.
Write it on paper? Yeah, Connie had the people.
Sorry.
I'm not, sorry.
Oh, I said, yeah, cool.
Just say president down. What did I say? I said Connie, I said I should say president then. Kind of felt like I should say.
Yeah.
Jam, are you still a chair of appointments? I have some questions at some point.
Don't worry, I'm like really excited about all your climate change stuff. Really exciting. And education.
Some other time. Finance meets every off Wednesday. Kind of already.
Thank you.
Pre-booked to the room. I would gladly meet. I don't know when you get out. Prior to.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So we have our chairs and clerks ready for this term. Our chairs will be setting up meetings with their respective committees. And when you do that, please communicate with our clerk's office to find room locations and times, et cetera. So appreciate that. Next item on business is for City Council to reconfirm the resolution pertaining to discrimination and intolerance. And I'm going to turn that over to Vice President Jadzik.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I'm going to read this out in the form of a motion. So the Easthampton City Council.
Before you do that, sorry, is there any counselor who has concerns and would like to send this to committee before, to committee? So we don't have to vote on it tonight. We can send it to committee, or we can choose to vote on that. So if I see no opposition to that, go ahead, I'll turn it over.
I will now read this out in the form of a motion. The Easthampton City Council resolution pertaining to discrimination and intolerance. Whereas one of the fundamental core values of the City of Easthampton is to treat all persons with respect and dignity. And whereas the City of Easthampton values all of its citizens and recognizes that the many races and ethnicities of its citizens have contributed to the strength of character of Easthampton. And whereas the City of Easthampton recognizes the strength in the diversity and inclusiveness of its citizenry. And now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the City of Easthampton and its representatives shall not condone or tolerate any form of discrimination and will create spaces of inclusion by challenging any and all forms of discrimination on the basis of race, color, class, religious creed, age, familial status, national origin, immigration status, sexual orientation, sex, gender identity or expression, disability, or veteran status.
I'll second that.
Great, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? No, great, motion passes. Great, so next item is communication from elected officials, boards, and commissions. It does say correspondence, so one of the things that we are going to attempt to do is to have some of our departments as well as committees take advantage of the opportunity to provide correspondence and communication with City Council in this next term. So that is something that we will be working on to just increase access to council, but also just support transparency from committees and departments. So appreciate that. Next is President, Vice President Communication. I just want to take a quick moment to extend my thanks to the council for the opportunity to lead as president this term. I'm deeply grateful, but with that, prior to, or most importantly, what I again would like to emphasize is my appreciation for Councilor Kwasinski and your leadership to this council in the last term. It was certainly greatly appreciated. I think it was a particularly difficult time for our council, and your leadership really got us through in one piece and as a collective. So I certainly thank you for your ongoing leadership. You know, I was reflecting on this statement and affirmation. And I know that Representative Gomez spoke to this already, but, you know, we do have 2 women in leadership on the council, but we also have for the first time 4 democratically elected women who are sitting on this council as well. And, you know, the choices and the decisions and our actions that we make and our commitment to things like eliminating discrimination and intolerance must have a ripple effect in our community. And I think it's largely to the actions of council and our commitment and our voice to support equity and equality that we are able to have such a diverse body of leaders on council today. So I just really want to say that I hope that we continue to be leaders in this community in that particular way, and that we don't have to face tragedies that we saw today in Minneapolis, and that we're able to come together and able to solve our problems collectively. So I look forward to certainly working with all of you. And I know the Vice President, Jacek, has some items as well.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to just echo your comments. Thank you to outgoing President Kwasinski. Very much appreciate your leadership and continued presence here, and looking forward to working with everyone here on council in this coming term. I do have a number of items to get through, so just bear with me. There's a couple things that we'll chat through. So just so folks know, going forward, what I will be handling is any new business agenda items on the agenda. So you'll hear again from me before this meeting is over. There is a noon deadline for all agenda items, so especially for newly elected chairs, make sure that you get your items in on time to Mary Ann, because if it's coming in past noon, it will not make it onto the agenda, barring extraordinary circumstances. It's really just to make sure that we respect our city clerk's time and their schedules and the demands that they have on their time. We are currently in the process of setting up a meeting with IT for all newly elected chairs as well, so keep a lookout for that, just to make sure that you are all best set up for technological success here in 50 Payson. So that'll be something that we'll be setting up in the hopefully next week or two, so that we are all on the same page when it comes to the tech that's available to us. There will also be an email coming out the week, I believe, of the 19th about harassment policy from HR. So for everyone, make sure that you keep a lookout for that as well. The Rent Study Committee is a committee that both myself, Councilor Denham, and Councilor Jamrock McQuaid are currently sitting on. This is for the public as well as for anyone here tonight on council. The Rent Study Committee will be needing new members, especially folks who are renters. So I know that we've heard from at least one person tonight. Council has been hearing from folks for the past year, really, and I know there's a lot of people who are interested in this topic. So this is a city council committee that was formed last year out of a resolution that city council passed, and we are really focused on two main approaches, but one is looking into understanding whether or not it makes sense to put forward a request to change our charter for rent control here in Easthampton and what that process would look like if we were to pursue that. The second focus is really about helping renters in Easthampton right now, because we recognize that there's a real need, as we've heard so eloquently tonight. So if anyone is interested or knows anyone who's interested, please direct that notice to Councilor, Madam President Denham. We also have a St. Patrick's Parade invitation coming up. So if any council members are interested in attending the St. Patrick's Parade and walking in it, please let Mary Ann know by the 21st of January so that she can get that in on time. Also, we have a conference coming up that all councilors are invited to called Connect 351. I personally have not had the pleasure of attending, but I know other councilors who've been on longer than I have attended in the past, and I've heard really good things about it. We do have stipend, or we have some budget rather, for covering registrations. So if anyone is interested, please, I guess, let Mary Ann know if you have any questions around what that looks like. Essentially, you'll just go ahead and register and then get reimbursed by City Hall for that. But if you have any questions, also please feel to direct them to myself as well. That deadline for the lower registration rate is the 20th of January. So after that, it will go up. So definitely think about that before the 20th. And then finally, the 911-911 committee is looking for feedback. So we have a newly formed memorial committee, and the purpose of this committee is to develop a permanent tribute for first responders and civilians who sacrificed their lives, safety, and health for their community colleagues and friends on 9/11. And so this is about really looking into putting together a tribute to help promote remembrance and opportunities for reflection here in Easthampton. The committee's in the early stages of planning and figuring everything out, and so they're looking for ideas from Easthampton residents on how best to memorialize those events. So what they're hoping for is having anyone who has any ideas to share that with the committee either in person or via email. And their next meeting is coming up on Monday, January 26th at 6 p.m. at the Council on Aging building in 19 Union Street. You can also email your ideas to Dylan Maxfield, dmaxfield@easthamptonma.gov. And with that, this concludes my communications.
Okay, great. Usually we won't have such long communication, but this is our first meeting, and it was just easier to tell everybody than put all of that into an email. So that will be much shorter in the future. Mayor's communication.
Thank you, councilors. I just wanted to congratulate everybody again. And I didn't have the opportunity last time because you all hadn't voted in your leadership yet. So I just want to acknowledge Councilor Denham, Councilor Jacek. Congratulations on being president, vice president. And I think it is amazing to be able to have two women at the helm, and not just two women, but capable and competent people to help lead the council forward. So I think that's exciting. And being the mayor gets pretty busy. So I hadn't heard about what happened until I was sitting right there in Minneapolis, and it really shook me a little bit, just because you get caught in a whirlwind of just working and being busy, and then something like that happens, and it's frustrating to have to, and this is a thing that I think we'll find as we move forward. I've sat at this where you're sitting for many terrible things that have happened, and to feel that we don't have a lot of control, with school shootings and other violence that happens in our society. And now we're in kind of unprecedented times where the military is occupying cities in the United States. and we're having law enforcement shooting unarmed civilians. And so, you know, I think that this is a double down for us to be working together, to have a unified front, to be able to, you know, do what we can to protect our citizenry and to make sure that people know that what's happening now is not okay and it's not normal. And so I'm hoping and I'm looking forward to working with the council for us to create a unified front so we can address these things. And while we might not be able to do anything tangible, we can at least take a stand and let it be known, you know, that this is not acceptable in the United States. You know, we all took an oath to the Constitution, and we should hold the people that are above us in government to the same standard. And you know, I think it's interesting. You're going to have to take the ethics training pretty soon if you're a new counselor, and the old counselors as well. And it's pretty strict. And I think that it's always kind of struck me. I was like, why do we have to do this? And I look at what's going on at the federal level, and it just seems like a complete 180 from what we've been learning. And so, you know, I really hope that the madness kind of settles, and I look forward to working with all of you, and I do want to just welcome you again. So thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Derby. Council Communications, Chair Peak.
Thank you, Madam President. So Finance has not met since our last meeting. We will be meeting next Wednesday, a week from today. In lieu of our usual time of 5:30, we're going to be meeting at 6 to accommodate an early ordinance meeting. At that meeting, we will be discussing the city clerk's office's proposal for a vital statistics fee increase, and probably maybe just doing a little bit of housekeeping, checking in on the other items, but probably not making any deciding any major decisions on any of that. Yeah, thus concludes.
Great, thank you, Chair. Question?
I just wanted to wonder if we had communications from elected boards and officials, and if we could comment, if the councilors would be asked to comment.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, sorry. Yes, council communication, if there's any councilors who would like to speak, I apologize. Yes, Councilor
Waiting patiently.
Kwasinski, I apologize.
Thank you. That's fine. I appreciate the mayor's comments, and there isn't much we can do on the national level except for actively getting together and staying together as a group and with one mind, we hope. That being said, there's something we can do locally, and that's with regard to the situations that we have locally. And I'm going to address an issue tonight of the real estate taxes. You may have gotten your tax bill if you're a homeowner here in the city of Easthampton. So if you're a homeowner in the city of Easthampton, you've gotten your tax bill. You have, and it's very important to note, only until February 2nd to file an abatement should you have questions about your assessment or about the tax bill or about whether or not the properties are being assessed fairly, that is in level playing field with your neighbors. You know your neighbors' homes, you know your home. One of the common things that you'll see is sometimes the assessor's records are noted to be wrong. And that's not something that the city does on purpose, but it's an accident. It may be a fill-in of information because they couldn't get into your home. I encourage everyone to look at the abatement forms. I happen to have one. Any counselor here is welcome to one. I can share it. They're also available online at the assessor's office. This form must be filed by February 2nd at 5 p.m. in order to qualify for an abatement. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say that there's an extra bath or half bath added to your home. That increases its value, that increases the taxes you pay. There may be listed as your home having 3 baths. it only has 2. All you have to do is fill out one of these forms, go to the assessor's office and say, help me with this. We only have 2, and they will make the adjustment. They may need to come into the house to see, but it's that kind of a thing that you have the opportunity to question. You have no rights to question it after that date. That being said, go for your abatement forms if you have any concerns. What you'd ask for is for the field card in the assessor's office. That's where the information is kept. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Kwasinski. Any other councilor for announcements or communications?
Yep. I'll just put on everyone's radar. We already heard from a member of the public that the Easthampton Tenants Union meets every Thursday in the conference room just behind these chambers, actually. It's a great group of people. They're building solidarity. They're helping people, or 5 p.m. The great group of people, they're building solidarity. They're helping people understand their rights. If you're facing egregious rent hike like many people in the community are, you have rights. You have people who are in your same position who are willing to stand with you. So just want to put that on people's radar. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Shamrock McQuaid. Any other councilor announcements? Seeing none. We'll continue. Public safety. Chair Newton.
So we have not had a meeting since our last meeting, and we need to get together for a chat about the next meeting. So we're going to get that on the books and
Great. Thank you, Chair Newton. Appointments. Chair Smith.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Denham. We have not met since our last meeting. We were waiting to have the new city council move forward. We had, at a previous meeting, talked about having the board and committee fair. Obviously, we can't have that on the 10th as originally planned, but we are still planning that. So I need to meet with the other members of the appointment subcommittee to be able to plan that time. So I'll announce that at our next meeting. And the rest that we have on the book is for future business. However, I would like to extend these 2 action dates from 2/5/26. Extend those for 60 days, please.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, in the form of a motion.
All right. So we have, thank you. We have a motion and a second to extend the ongoing agenda items request for board committee vacancy review, recruitment, and proposal for mayor and clerk to create an appointments committee handbook for 90 days?
I had said 60 days.
60 days, for 60 days. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposed? Any abstentions? Great. So, thank you. And is that everything?
Yes, that concludes.
Great, thank you, Chair Smith. Chair Jamrock McQuaid, ordinance.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee last met on December 18th. I wasn't there as a member of the committee, but I was attending as a member of the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership. The committee discussed the public safety dispatch position and voted unanimously to recommend. So with that, I will move to set a public hearing to amend Exhibit A, classification of employees, to add position of Public Safety Dispatch Director on January 21st at 6:15 p.m. in these chambers.
So we have a motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. So we have a public hearing set for January 21st at 6:15 in these chambers.
Thank you. The committee also discussed at length the short-term rental ordinance changes, specifically surrounding the fire safety and the recommendations from Chief Norris and the building commissioner. The committee voted unanimously to continue the discussion to the next meeting. The committee also discussed the zoning recommendations put forward by the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership. They voted unanimously to recommend sections 1 through 4 to be moved to the planning board for consideration. I had the city council clerk print out those 4 sections on the paper in front of you. I could screen share, but I'll have to join the meeting.
Yeah. And we'll screen share just for transparency to the public so that they can follow along.
Okay. So I'll just go through these simply one by one, and then if we have any questions, we can dive deeper in. So section 1 is pretty simple. It is just updating all references to the Department of Housing and Community Development, which the state has updated to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So we have line edits throughout the zoning ordinance that correct that and correct that acronym as well. Are there any questions related to that? All right. Section 2 adopts the blanket minimum of 1.5 spaces per unit for all multifamily housing, which can be reduced to an average of 1 space per unit based on unit mix and project location. This is currently the inclusionary zoning for all multifamily housing with greater than 15% of units listed as affordable. The previous multifamily parking minimum is 1 for each bedroom in each unit plus 1 additional visitor space for every 10 units in the development. So the new minimum would apply to buildings starting at 3 units. So that would require 4 spaces. And then the math goes up from there. It rounds up. Are there any questions related to that one?
Questions? Councilor Marquis.
Yes, with the parking minimums, would they just be applied to future rentals or multifamily housing, or is it retroactive?
So it's for new developments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? Councilor Peak.
Yeah, I think I like this, but I guess the one concern that I have is that, so when we did those parking minimums, pretty much I think basically every big multifamily development since then has included those affordable housing because they wanted to get those parking minimums. And so I guess my only thing is there a concern that in adopting that as a blanket standard, you're actually removing like a carrot that might be incentivizing people to put more affordable housing into developments that might not otherwise include any?
Yeah, no, I think that it's a good question. I think it's a balance between having that sort of carrot incentive inclusionary zoning piece versus I think the overall recommendation of planning, like the American Planning Association and a lot of thinkers on this issue that just recommend removing parking minimums as just a land use thing. So I hear that. I also think that part of our efforts are trying to remove some of those barriers to developers developing all types of housing. So, you know, we have a lot of projects that are using like the low income housing tax credit, but we also have a lot of developers that we're trying to encourage all sorts of housing stock.
Okay.
Follow-up question, Councilor Peak.
Excuse me if this is sort of a silly question, but we're presenting on this tonight, but there's no public hearing. Are we taking a vote on anything tonight, or are we just doing a presentation?
Nope, so we're gonna vote to send it to the planning board for a joint public hearing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, but right now, Chair Jan-Mark McQuaid is letting you know what we decided in the last ordinance meeting.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Any other questions? All right. So the third section is surrounding fair housing and compliance with state law. So there are a number of items where state law supersedes or it makes more sense to just either defer or change a couple pieces of language. So we included those. And then I think the important piece of this section is changing the definition of family, which our recommendation is to update the definition to include all the people who occupy a single housing unit, regardless of their relationship to one another, to reflect more diverse living arrangements. And this definition was taken from Medford, but we felt the housing partnership and then also the ordinance committee felt that that was a lot more inclusive.
Questions? I actually have a question for Planning Director Manuel, who is also on the call. I just want to ask if you can just speak to the change in this definition, whether it's in line with what other communities are doing. I know we borrowed this from Medford, but is this a direction that other communities are going? And also, I'm wondering, does this create any challenges through the rest of our zoning ordinances?
So the, excuse me, the change as proposed doesn't create any conflicts with the rest of the ordinance. I do want to clarify that. I think any conversation about conflict was related to removing all reference to family, which is not what this proposes. I would say it's pretty consistent with what a lot of communities are doing. There's certainly been a movement towards less discriminatory views and definitions of what a family is, and I think it makes sense for us to also take a step in that direction.
Great, thank you.
All right, and the last thing that we moved from the committee was section 4 surrounding the term community character. This is a term that's used throughout the zoning, and it is currently undefined. It is sort of incumbent on the Zoning Board of Appeals or whatever body that is deliberating on it to determine what that means to them. Historically, this has been used to be exclusionary, to come up with, you know, there's a lot of qualitative research done on this with people showing up to public hearings and using the term character to really mean the kind of people who will be moving into the housing or the developments that are being built. So we really want to, or we really wanted to clarify that to make sure that when we're talking about character, we're being clear what we're referring to, whether it's architecture, whether it's layout and land use. So you'll see in this packet and on the actual report, there is a full matrix of all the changes that shows where it is in the zoning, what the current language is and what the recommended change is. I won't go through all of those because there are dozens, but I'll say in general, it just removes, rephrases, or clarifies vague or subjective references to the term character throughout the zoning ordinance and replaces them with more clear objective criteria.
Questions? Great. Just one comment again, just for context. This was from the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership zoning recommendations that came to us in March. And so we've had multiple conversations about these throughout the course of the last almost year to have discussions about these various topics and try to understand or discuss impact in communities, neighborhoods, et cetera. There is another section that is specifically related to kind of our zoning classification or how we classify zoning. So that is not a part of the recommendation that is going that this is just for sections 1 through 4. So I just want to be clear that those next conversations will be taking place. And they're in process with talking with the Aquifer Protection Commission, et cetera. So that's another part of this set of recommendations that will be coming kind of in the future. But we kind of divided it and we're sending these first 4 sections onto the planning board just to ease their workload, so to speak. Any questions about any of that? All right. So, Chair Jamrog McQuaid, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I will move to send sections 1 through 4 of the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership zoning recommendations to the Planning Board for a joint public hearing.
Second.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any Noes, any abstentions? Great, so motion passes. So we will send this to the planning board to set up a joint public hearing.
And the last thing is our next meeting we already set for January 14th. That's next Wednesday at 5 p.m. In Conference Room 1, where we will continue to discuss the short-term rental ordinance changes, review the sandwich board sign ordinance, and discuss the ordinance review committee's final report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jamway-Buffet. Chair Kwasinski, property.
For property, thank you, Madam President. There are two items on the agenda. One is the ordinance request regarding flags on public property, and the second is the town lodging house. The committee met and we elected Councilor Jamrock McQuaid as clerk. Wanted to report that. And myself as the chair of the committee. We will be scheduling a meeting this month on the matter, and this concludes.
Great. Thank you, Chair Kwasinski. And Chair Kwasinski, I think right back at you with rules and government relations.
Thank you again, Madam President. With regard to the rules and government relations, two items are on the agenda: resolution in support of the water operator retirement reclassification and code of conduct of employed members of boards, committees, and commissions. The committee met. I was elected chair, and Councilor Jadzik clerk. We will again be scheduling a meeting for rules this month. This concludes.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Kwasinski. We have no old business pending. New business, I will turn it over to Vice President Jadzik.
Thank you, Madam President. For new business, first we have 4 new mayoral appointments, so I'm going to read these out in the form of a motion. So from the mayor, we have first Marlene Machonsky for reappointment to Parks and Recreation Commission with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2029. Then we have Michelle Subos for Parks and Recreation Commission, also with a term expiration date of 12/31/26, or I should say, with a term expiration date of 12/31/26. Next, we have Mary Church for Housing Authority to move to EHA resident appointment with the term expiration date of 12/31/2031. And then finally, we have Carl Prahl for appointment to Housing Authority with a term expiration date of 12/31/2031 as well.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to move the 4 mayoral appointments to appointments. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any noes? No. And no abstentions. Great. So those 4 appointments will move to mayoral appointments will move to appointments. And the next.
Yes, and next we have a request by Fire Chief Norris to approve a resolution adopting the hazard mitigation plan. There's a copy of the hazard mitigation plan in the agenda tonight. I'd like to not read this out because it's 300 plus pages long. We'll be here all night long, but I'd like to make a motion to move this to public safety for further discussion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to move the resolution adopting the hazardous mitigation plan to public safety. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? None. So motion passes. That is all of the items on our agenda. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right, a motion. We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Great.